Hello and welcome. We are going over the connections and the buttons for the quantum resonance crystal lights. And let's start with the power supply. It's a small box with a blue light that shows you when it's turned on. Has a little connector. When you go and insert the connector, it's going to snap in place. When you pull it out, you grab onto this part and pull back and it will release. This connector is found on the left side as you're looking at it from the front top. The flat side faces up, and you'll hear it give a positive click. You can go ahead and tug on it and it won't remove itself until you pull back on that very same piece, wiggle, wiggle, pull it out. You can leave it plugged in all the time. The next connector we have is on the top right. This connects the lights. It has a push to release, and you do not need to push it when you plug it in. We're going to drag over our demo light set to it. See the shape of this? It's pointing outward. You hear it click and it goes in place. And there's about a pencil's worth of space in between the metal and the actual connector. So I'm pushing down on that button, wiggle, 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 and it pulls out. It does take a bit of effort. And another way to look at it is you have two little prongs that are bigger than the other ones inside here, and those are going to mate with the two prongs in there. So it only goes in one way basically. So you can just twist it until it goes in place. Click, and done. Let's set that aside. On the right side, we have a frequency in and a USB charging port. Neither of these are currently in use. You can get something like a MirrorMate, a Spooky generator, some other PEMF device if you want to, and plug it into this port, and it will add frequencies on top of the ones that are being generated here. It's not needed. Here is a charging port for a phone or a MirrorMate or whatever you need if you need to have one charged. This dial controls the brightness of the red lights. We have 4 red buttons on top. These control the multicolored lights. There's a set, mode, fast, and slow. Mode changes the colors. Set memorizes the colors. And fast and slow changes their speed if they have any kind of flashing to them. Power, lights, IR for infrared or the red light. They have 2 positions. Upward is on, down is off. And we are going to quickly plug in the system and show you the frequencies. We have the top line, which says 532 right now. And that's hertz. So we can go up to kilohertz and hertz. Most of the time you'd spend in hertz. There's a file that you can download and look at which gives you different frequencies available for the system, which are commonly known, and it's in the Consolidated Annotated Frequency List, or CAFL for short. I recommend things like Solfeggio, master numbers, things like that. To change the frequencies, you can press and hold, and they go rather quickly. You can fine tune it. The bottom number is the percentage of what the wave looks like. So it's a square wave, and when it's at 50%, that means it's 50% on and 50% off. You can do between 40 and 60%, and that should be plenty fine. If you have it at 51, 49, something like that, it's not a big deal. We leave it at 50% just because it allows 50% of it to be on and 50% to be off. And that is the ease of which to use the whole system. We have 2 holes here. That's what the light bar gets plugged into, and we'll show you that on a separate video. And let's see the bottom. So the bottom has 4 tabs, so it can sit level on the ground and not wobble around, because you have the shoe that the tripod sits on. We have a label that says red button this side, and we're going to shoot to another clip in a second to show you how to mount that. Okay, welcome back. What we have here is the head of the tripod, and we took it off the tripod to make it easy to work with. This you don't have to worry about. It's already been set to the proper angle and it will not move. So this part does not angle anymore. This can be tightened, and what that will do is allow free rotation of the unit this way, so it can spin, and when you have it to a good spot you can gently tighten it down. What we're interested in is the mating area. So we have a red button here, and on the box, you remember it said red button this side, so that red button's going to be on the same side. You don't want the red button over here. Here is the same mounting plate that is found on the unit itself. And when we slide it in place, you're probably going to hear that click if it's done a certain direction. If it's done the opposite direction, you won't. And when it gets to about the middle is when you tighten this part down. What that does is tightens this metal piece against here and makes it all happy. Typically you only need to do about a half a turn to make that work. When you remove this, you may need to push this in, you may not. It depends on which direction you're going. So we're going to take a little zoom in here, and again, this is the piece that tightens up against the shoe that's set in here. When you go and tighten this, you have an inherent problem with this, in that there is a big metal plate right here which prevents that from going any further. How are we going to get around that? When you tighten this up, you're going to hit that plate, but then you can pull this part out and turn it, and that silver piece remains stationary. It's going to find a new place, and then you can continue tightening. So, pull out, turn, pull out, turn, just like that. And we set this up ahead of time, so you may not need to do that. You may just slip on the plate, turn it, and you're good. Welcome back. We're going to be going over the crystal holders now. So the crystal holders are an exclusive design of Quantum Resonance, and we've developed these over the years to provide the most amount of power in scalar energy and alternative energy theorems. One of the items that we have inside is a tensor field coil, and this is the copper wrapped one, which basically is a special coil that doesn't get powered up, but it does create a specific amount of energy based off of the amount of turns that it has and the use of free energy. So we include those in all of our systems. We also have these disks, which are actual magnets, and these alternate from north to south, north to south. And what they're doing is creating a special field for the magnetic coil that's buried inside here. And you can barely see the coil in this one, but it's a copper piece that's wound a few times, and it goes around in a circle, creating the scalar energy based off of the frequencies that are given to it. And those frequencies are set inside the box that we showed you earlier. This white disc is the infrared LED, and this one's very bright. It's about the frequencies that are being sent into the crystals, not so much, oh, we're going to send you so much light that you're going to be blinded. No, it's not about that. It's about sending the deep infrared into the light, into the crystal, going into the skin. And then you can see a series of LEDs, and these are the ones that are actually going to change colors, injecting their color into the crystals, which sit here, and then those crystals are going to send the energy down into it. How does all of this stuff stay in place? We have these rubberized saddles, which sit into, not this side, but this side. They're going to sit into a little groove right there, and they snap in place and they lie pretty flat. We'll show you a side view in a second. So you can see it's a very, very flat piece. If it's sticking up like that, that's too much. So you're going to want to feel it as you're going around and make sure it just goes all in flat. Next, take your crystal, move this out of the way, slide your crystal in place, and that will hold it in place. The crystal expands the rubber, holding everything nice and snug. If you need to get this out, you can pull back. Sometimes you can just wiggle and push and the whole thing will pop out, including the rubber piece. We can also change it out to other types of crystals. We have different size internal diameters, so you can fit bigger or smaller crystals in there. And so you can swap it out for say, a different type of crystal. And this allows the most amount of energy to go through into the crystal, where it shapes all of this stuff coming out. We also have hundreds of little small crystals embedded inside here with essential oil and epoxy resin, which hardens. All of this is called orgonite. And so this develops its own energy system, which helps go into the crystals as well. All right, we're going to go over the workings of the lights, in specific the color changing sequences. Then we're going to go over how the bar operates, up, down, left, right, things like that. And then we're going to wrap it up. So what we have again is our 4 red buttons on top of the control box, and you're looking for the one that says mode. And when you push it, there's a total of 15 different programs. So this is one of the chakra ones. You'll notice that purple's on one end, red's on the other. And they stay that way on the next button push, but it's just going to pulsate some white. And that's a cleansing one. And now we have a kaleidoscope. This one gently goes through all the different colors on each one of the holders. This one does a rainbow within each one of the holders. It's pretty close to the one that we just did. This one does purple and blue, and you can adjust the speed on this by pushing faster or slower. We have solid red, the yellow, then green, blue, dark blue, purple, bright white, and those are all the different straightforward colors. Now we're going to go back into chakras again. So purple's over here. It was over here on the previous one. Purple on through, purple with the chakra with the expansion of the white, and now it's going to flip over to the other color. Purple over here now. So that was all the different colors. If you find one you like, you can hit set, and it will hold it in memory for you. Now, we have not turned on the red lights yet. Let's go ahead and do that. There's a button on the control box. You can see it went bright red. There's a clear knob on the right side of the control box, which controls the brightness of these. If for some reason you don't want it full brightness, you can just turn those down. And now we'll get into the movement of the light bar. Hello and welcome. I have the light bar in my hands. You can see the arms come out towards me. And these arms are going to sit inside the two holders. There's various ways to put this on. Probably the easiest way is to keep the Velcro straps on the arms themselves when you go and do this. And you just put them in for halfway down. The bar itself is going to rub against here. Unscrew these butterfly knobs a little bit, loosen it up, allows movement of the arm. We can then get it out of the way, set the arms, make sure they're all the way down. At this point you can plug in your light bar. And now we're ready for some movement. The light bar can go left and right. It can go diagonal. It can go up. It can go out. And each one of these has its own flexible movement. The ones on the ends are one segment longer, so you can get them into a position like this while still having the main chakra ones straight, so they are in line with the other ones. That's why they're one segment longer. And that's it.